They say business is business, but in Asian families, it's never that simple. Every transaction carries the weight of tradition. Every decision bears the burden of generations. I learned this lesson the hard way when I discovered my brother's betrayal wasn't just about money, it was about everything our grandparents had built. My name is Sarah Chen, and I'm the Chief Operations Officer of Chen Global Imports, a company my grandparents started in 1965 after immigrating from China. At least I was the COO until my brother Michael decided he knew better than 3 generations of careful relationship building. The old ways don't work anymore, Michael announced at the board meeting, standing in his perfectly tailored suit. We need to streamline operations, cut costs, increase margins. I've already begun transitioning production to more efficient facilities. I sat quietly, my laptop open to documents that would soon shatter his illusion of control. 6 months of investigation, thousands of miles traveled, and countless sleepless nights had led to this moment. Sarah disagrees, of course, he continued, shooting me that condescending smile he perfected since taking over as CEO last year. She thinks we should keep using mom and dad's old contacts, paying premium prices for what we could get cheaper elsewhere. Our parents, sitting at the other end of the conference table, shifted uncomfortably. Dad had stepped down as CEO last year, believing Michael's Harvard MBA made him better suited to lead the company into the modern era. Mom, ever the peacekeeper, tried to mediate between my traditional approaches and Michael's aggressive modernization. Those premium prices pay for quality control, ethical manufacturing, and relationships that have sustained this company for 50 years, I replied evenly. But please, tell us more about these more efficient facilities you found. Michael clicked to his next slide, showing glossy photos of a modern factory. Our new primary manufacturing partner in Shenzhen. State-of-the-art equipment, half the cost of our current suppliers, triple the production capacity. I glanced at my watch. In exactly 12 hours, the international audit report would arrive, revealing what those polished promotional photos didn't show. And you've personally inspected this facility? I asked, knowing the answer. I have a team for that, he replied dismissively. That's what modern business is about: delegation, efficiency, trust in systems rather than old-fashioned personal visits. I thought about my recent trips to China, the midnight visits to the real factories Michael's efficient partner used, the workers I'd interviewed, the documents I'd gathered. My brother had never bothered to learn Mandarin beyond a few basic phrases, believing English was all he needed in the global market. He didn't understand that in China, the real story is never in the official documents, it's in the relationships, the unspoken understandings, the careful maintenance of face. Trust is essential in business, I agreed. So is verification. Mom caught my tone and frowned slightly. She knew me too well, knew when I was holding back something significant. But Michael was already moving on, outlining his plans for aggressive expansion. By shifting production to these new partners, we can undercut our competitors by 30%. The board's financials package shows the projected savings. He gestured to the thick folders in front of each board member. I opened my copy, already knowing what I wouldn't find in there. Any mention of the 3 shell companies Michael had created to hide the real cost of his efficiency, or the kickbacks being paid through a series of offshore accounts. Pretty impressive numbers, said James Wong, our longest-serving board member. Though I noticed these projections don't include detailed quality control protocols. All industry standard, Michael assured him. We're not cutting corners, just cutting waste. Right, Sarah? I met his eyes across the table. Interesting choice of words. The meeting continued, Michael painting his vision of a modernized Chen Global Imports. Leaner, meaner, more profitable. Our parents watched with a mixture of pride and uncertainty. They'd built this company on personal relationships and rigorous quality standards, values they tried to instill in both their children. I'd spent my college years studying Mandarin, international business, and supply chain management. Every summer, I traveled with Dad to visit our suppliers, learning the intricate dance of Chinese business relationships. Michael had chosen a different path. Prestigious internships, management consulting, and MBA from Harvard. He saw our parents' methods as outdated, inefficient. After the meeting, Mom caught up with me in the hallway. Sarah, what aren't you telling us? I hugged her gently. Give me until tomorrow, Mom. Some things need to be shown, not told. In my office that evening, I reviewed the evidence one final time. Photos of the real factories Michael's new partner used, not the gleaming facility in his presentation, but run-down buildings in industrial suburbs. Wage records showing payments far below legal minimums. Environmental reports documenting chemical dumping in local waterways. My phone buzzed. A message from Lei Wei, one of our longtime suppliers in Guangzhou. Audit report finalized. Sending in 8 hours. Are you sure about this? Yes, I replied in Mandarin. It's time for the truth. Lai Wei had been critical in my investigation, introducing me to people who knew the real story behind Michael's miracle factory. In China, information flows through relationships, through trust built over years. Our family had spent decades building those relationships, and now they were helping expose a betrayal that went far beyond mere profits. I stayed late at the office, watching the sun set over Seattle's harbor where our imports arrived daily. Somewhere on those container ships were products from Michael's new suppliers. Products that wouldn't meet our company's quality standards, made under conditions that would horrify our customers. Another message chimed, this one from Michael. Great meeting today. See? The numbers don't lie. Modern business is about data, not dinosaur methods. I stared at his text, thinking about what tomorrow would bring. The numbers didn't lie, but they could be manipulated. The real truth was in the details he'd never bothered to understand, the relationships he'd dismissed as obsolete. My laptop pinged, an email from our Hong Kong office. More documentation about the shell companies, the hidden facilities, the complex web of deception Michael had built in his quest for efficiency. Modern business, I murmured, adding the new documents to my file. Let's see how modern you feel about fraud charges and international labor law violations. I closed my laptop and walked to the window, watching containers being unloaded at the port. Each one told a story, of workers, of materials, of choices made in pursuit of profit. Tomorrow, those stories would collide with Michael's carefully constructed narrative of modernization and efficiency. The question was, would our family's legacy survive the impact? The audit report arrived at 6 a.m. Seattle time, just as the morning sun was painting the harbor in shades of gold. I'd been in my office since 5, preparing for what would come next. The thick document, written in both Chinese and English, laid bare everything I'd discovered over the past 6 months. At 7:30, my phone buzzed. Michael, of course. Emergency board meeting at 9. Some ridiculous compliance issue with the new suppliers. Handle it, will you? That's what operations is for. I'll be there, I replied calmly. And Michael, bring your lawyers. A pause. What's that supposed to mean? You'll see at 9. I spent the next hour organizing my presentation. Photos, financial records, witness statements, 6 months of evidence carefully compiled with help from people Michael had never bothered to know existed. Our grandfather's old contacts, our parents' longtime partners, people who remembered me as a little girl learning Mandarin in their factories. The board members arrived early, sensing something significant. Michael strode in last, flanked by 2 lawyers from his favorite firm. He faltered slightly seeing them already there, but recovered quickly. Let's make this quick, he said, taking his seat at the head of the table. I'm sure whatever compliance issues have come up can be easily resolved. Actually, I said, standing and connecting my laptop to the display screen, this isn't something that can be quickly resolved. This is about fraud, environmental crimes, and labor law violations that could destroy everything our family has built. The room went silent. Michael's face flushed. What are you talking about? That modern, efficient factory you showed us yesterday. It doesn't exist. I clicked to my first slide, photos of the real facilities his new partner used. These are the actual production sites. 3 illegal factories operating without permits, using banned chemicals, paying workers a fraction of legal wages. More photos appeared. Crowded dormitories, workers without safety equipment, chemical waste being dumped into rivers. This is ridiculous, Michael sputtered. These could be anywhere. The international audit report arrived this morning. I continued, distributing copies. Conducted by the most respected firm in Asia. Everything is documented, verified, and witnessed, including the kickbacks. Dad sat up straighter. What kickbacks? I pulled up the financial records. 15% of all cost savings were being routed through shell companies to offshore accounts. That's why Michael could show such impressive numbers. He was stealing from both ends. cheating workers on one side, skimming profits on the other. Michael's lawyers were frantically flipping through the audit report. One of them whispered something in his ear, and he went pale. "You went behind my back," he accused. "Spied on my operations. I did my job," I corrected. "The job Mom and Dad trusted us both to do, protecting this company's integrity." "Did you really think our Chinese partners wouldn't tell me what was really happening? Did you think 3 generations of relationships would mean nothing against your Harvard-approved efficiency metrics?" Mom was crying quietly. Dad looked like he aged 10 years in 10 minutes. The board members were already on their phones, no doubt calling their own lawyers. I clicked to the next slide. "This is Mr. Lai Wei, who's been our partner in Guangzhou for 30 years. The man you dismissed as obsolete last year. He's the one who first alerted me to irregularities in the new supply chain. These are the Zhang brothers, who supplied our textiles since before I was born. They showed me the real factories. This is Mrs. Yang, who—" "Enough," Michael shouted, standing up. "This is a setup. These people are just jealous of modern methods. These people," Dad's voice cut through the room like steel, "are our family's honor. Our word. Our reputation." He turned to Michael. "Everything your grandfather built, everything your mother and I taught you, you threw it away for what? Better profit margins." "Business is about profits," Michael insisted. "About growth." "Business is about trust," I said quietly. Something grandfather understood when he came to America with nothing but his good name. Something Mom and Dad built their success on. Something you forgot somewhere between Harvard and your offshore accounts. The next hour was chaos. Lawyers made calls. Board members demanded explanations. Michael alternated between threats and pleas. Through it all, I kept presenting evidence. The complete picture of how my brother had nearly destroyed our family's legacy in his rush to modernize. Finally, Mr. Wang, our senior board member, cleared his throat. I moved for an immediate leadership change. Michael Chen to be removed as CEO, all contracts with new suppliers to be suspended pending full investigation. The vote was unanimous. Michael stormed out, his lawyers trailing behind. "The damage control will take months," I told the remaining board members. "But our old partners are standing by. They'll help us transition back to legitimate operations." "And you?" Dad asked softly. "Will you help us fix this?" I nodded. "Of course. But we do it right this time. No shortcuts, no sacrificing quality for quick profits. We go back to what made this company strong: relationships, integrity, honor." The next few months were grueling. Unwinding Michael's schemes, rebuilding trust with customers, ensuring workers at the illegal factories were compensated. I made dozens of trips to China, meeting with partners my brother had dismissed as irrelevant to modern business. Lil Wei's daughter, now running their factory, summed it up best. "Your brother saw only numbers on a page. You see the people behind them." A year later, Chen Global Imports is stronger than ever. Our commitment to ethical manufacturing has attracted premium customers who care about more than just price. The relationships my grandparents built, that my parents nurtured, are now helping us innovate in ways Michael's shortcuts never could. Michael? He moved to New York, started a consulting firm. Sometimes he gives lectures about disrupting traditional business models. Mom still cries about the rift in the family, but Dad understands some breaches can't be repaired. Last week, I found an old photo in grandfather's desk, him standing with his first business partner in Seattle's Chinatown, both men beaming with pride. On the back, he'd written in Chinese, "Success grows from honor, not from shortcuts." I framed that photo. It hangs in my office, yes, the CEO's office now, reminding me that true modernization doesn't mean abandoning your principles. It means finding new ways to honor old truths. Every morning, I look out over the harbor where our containers still arrive daily. Each one carries not just products, but the weight of relationships nurtured over generations, of trust earned through decades of keeping our word. That's something no Harvard MBA can teach you. The real value of a family's good name and the obligation to keep it untarnished. As grandfather always said, in business, as in life, your reputation arrives in the room before you do. Mine arrives carrying 3 generations of honor, and that's worth more than all the efficient shortcuts in the world.